Welcome to Divine Educare. Let us begin with the chapter 11, Enhancement of Food Productions. Now, when we are starting with this chapter, we must know what is the very importance of the food production. Okay, so once again, welcome to Divine Educare channel. Let us begin with the chapter, lecture 1, with little with introduction. Now, as we already know that on the earth, the source of energy for all living being that comes mostly from the sun. Okay, and sun directs that energy, solar energy, to the plant, and whereby all green plants, they synthesize their own food, and all living being other than the plant, they are unable to synthesize their food. So that's why all living being, they are dependent mostly on the plants for their food. However, the things have changed. Many of them got shifted from the food grains to the non-vegetarian, that is animal as a food. Okay, but also when you are growing or breeding the animals, how this animal, from where do they get the food? That they also get the food from the green plants. Okay, so basically the green plants are of immense importance, that every living being has to be dependent on the food. Okay, so here it is given that green plants synthesize their own food through photosynthesis, but animals including human cannot synthesize their own food, hence they are dependent on the plant directly. Okay, so the famine is responsible for the dearth of food, besides the rapid and dramatic increase in the world population over the time. So meaning is that they are trying to say that populations are increasing and there is a pressure on the food, on the food supply. So the major concern is that not the population, that is a secondary concern, but primary concern is that how to grow, how to develop the plant production, the food productions. Okay, so for that very thing we have to think critically, and we have to analyze that what are the different methods or um, you know techniques through which we can manipulate the productions of the plants or the crops which is required. Okay, so to meet the increasing demands for food, there is a need for improvement of food production. If you really want to have a food, then you have to focus on the food production, the quantity as well as the quality wise. Okay, both the ways. Okay, so uh, two areas is of major concern, that plant breeding. So you have to know the very technique how to grow plants, how to manipulate the plants, and which condition to grow, okay, and to take care of. Equally, animal breeding is also important. So these two branches of food science, that is plant breeding and animal breeding, helps us to increase the food productions. Okay, so that we are going to study here. So let us see what is food. So they are saying food is one of the basic needs, as it gives us energy for everything. Right now I'm teaching to you, so I must have something as a source of energy into my body. So that is the food. Okay, so it can be defined as how one can define the food. What is food when it is asked? So it is anything which is solid or liquid, which when swallowed, it should be digested and assimilated, means it is able to absorb into the cell, into the body. Okay, and keeping us well, that is the food. So what is another term the food is organic, it is energy rich, Something you eat and do not provide you energy, it is not a food. So food is something when on digestion, on digestions, on assimilations, it gives you energy. It is non poisonous, edible and nourishing substances. That is the food. So that is a proper definition for the food. Now let us see, when we want to develop high yielding varieties, the productivity, the quality, we need to understand how to breed a plant, how to grow up the plants. So plant breeding, that's why came into notice that what is the meaning of plant breeding? It is a manipulation of plant species to create what? A desired plant types for what? Of better yield and disease resistance. Okay? For better productivity, and that should be of disease resistance variety. Okay? So when you are breeding, you have to manipulate certain things in the plant so that it becomes a disease resistant, water resistant, like stress resistant, salinity resistant. Okay, that's a, you are manipulating the plant characters in order to survive in a harsh condition also. That's a plant breeding, that's a technique. So next come the green revolution, where you must be knowing from, I think, 9th 10th standard, that who is the father of green revolution in India. Yes, so father of green revolution in India is very popularly known as M.S. Swaminathan. Okay, so he has been called the father of green revolution of India, uh, for his role in introducing and further development in the high yielding wheat variety. Okay, also he advocated moving India into the sustainable development, and especially uh, sustainable, especially sustainable, environmentally sustainable development into agricultural field, also sustainable food security and conservation of biodiversity. He was a pioneer in mutation breeding in India. Also, he introduced many varieties of the wheat in our country, like Sonora, then NP 165 and Sarabati, and so on. So his role was of great importance, and he also eradicated the hunger for the food in India. So his role is very commendable. Now, when we come back to the plant breeding, so what led the green revolution and how we have thought of doing the plant breeding? So plant breeding is something where one can change the genetic sequence of the plant in order to get the desired variety, also to fulfill the demand for the increasing populations. Okay, and it should be utilized for the human welfare, and also to increase the quality and quantity of the crops. Okay, also a certain kind of changes is being done into the plants in order to make the plant disease resistant, drought resistant, uh, saline resistant. Okay, and to give a good quality yielding. Okay, and also green revolution has properly resulted into the sequence of uh, breakthrough and development into the field of crop management. Okay, providing high quality of seeds, providing good quality of fertilizers, and high quality and developed machinery system. Okay, so all these things, so when you look back all these things, providing high quality of seeds so that the uh, it provides a good quality, and nutritive value should be maintained. Okay, and the seeds should be viable and full and uniform in size. Okay, free from seeds, uh, free from seeds-borne pests and diseases. And fever weeds seeds should be when the uh, seeds of good qualities are grown. So along with that, no weeds are growing. That is the major thing that is very important here, and it played a very great role here. Okay, then a good irrigation system and pesticide system, multi-cropping system. This has happened after the Green Revolution, which has really fought the hunger, fought for hunger, and supplied a good food to the living beings, especially in India. So adapting to multiple cropping system, multiple irrigation system, this all has enhances the food productivity. Okay. So plant breeding is what? It is an applied branch of botany. So where if you take all this uh, branch of science or botany, it is all inclusive term. Okay. So if you go here, genetics or biotechnology, which you know uh, deals with the knowledge of using microbes, many microbes to use here with different techniques, extract out their proteins, make them to make enzymes. Okay, altering their genetic sequences into the plant in order to bring a desired characters. Okay, so biotechnology is very very important here. Big data, robotics. What do you mean by robotics means, suppose in some crop is there, some crop fields are there, farmers cannot reach up to that mark or land. So what one can do, using with the help of robotic or drones, one can sprinkle the pesticide or fertilizers. Okay, so robotics is here required. Then biotechnology is again use of many microbes for human welfare. Okay, for different industrial products, for dairy, for forming a cheese, many things. Okay, this is in case of animal husbandry, it is more useful. So here manipulation of genes, mutation breeding, everything is used here. Bioinformatics, it deals with the molecular level of alterations. Bioinformatics with the inclusive terms of you know um, what we say, uh, uh, genetics. Okay, bioinformatics, molecular structure, and so genomics and molecular biology. Okay, all DNA, RNA manipulation, which kind of enzymes are useful, where to use, and for what purposes. All detailed sequences. Genomics means whereby you can take out the plant's entire data for each and every individual expressions. Okay, statics and computer science is equally important. Okay, agronomy and horticulture is something that agriculture related product which is commercial purpose, it is grown. Horticulture, and then it is like orchards, many flowers are grown, many fruits are grown. So it is equally important. Okay, it adds the nutritional value for the food. Plant pathology and entomology is something that a study of a pollinating agent, and which kind of pathogens or causal organism they are causing infections, and how to get rid of that, and very solution to that problem can be found out by studying this field, that is plant pathology and entomology. So these are all inclusive term which is involved into the plant breeding. Fine. Then it is some historical background is given that all now today's time what we are looking, that all the crops, it is all the result of the domestication. It was happened at the very much advanced time. So here we can see that it is from ancient time. You must have studied history, no need to go back so much. So just see, is a time period is given at the arrow, at the mid plane. Okay, so see, crop domestication, farmers select the best wild species to create crops. Selection is very important by the farmers. So uh, so the selection was very important at the time when it was supposed to be brought under human domestication, because there was a huge wide forest, so it was very difficult to find out which one is edible and which one is not edible. So 10,000 BC ago, domestication of wheat has been brought back. Then you see that domestication of wheat has brought, then plant breeding based on cross breeding, development of improved varieties by combining good characteristics from two parents. This was done. Then in 1865, the Mendel's law came, and whereby Mendel explained that some factors are responsible for bringing so many characters in different variations. Okay, so Mendelian inheritance came, and which postulated almost three postulations, that is law of inheritance, like law of purity of gametes, law of independent assortment, and the law of dominance. And then in 1926, it was came hybrid breeding, after the very knowledge of what is DNA, what is gene, okay, and more bigger varieties of the hybrid has come. Then uses of mutagenesis, like developing a new genetic diversity by exposing crop plants to chemical agent or radiation. So one can alter the genetic sequence by simply the exposure to UV radiation or X-ray radiations. Okay, so this was very thing that one can bring an alternation into genetic sequence into the plant in order to bring the desirable characters. So this was very thing. Then blast resistant rice was developed in the year of 1914. Okay, so this was something, a hybrid vigor was produced in case of rice variety. Then in 1953, the scientists and most of the intellectual people started understanding, analyzing the knowledge of DNA, like James Watson and Crick, they put the model for DNA, and they brought a light onto that, what kind of the DNA looks and what is the RNA structure. Okay, and that led to a great impetus on the uh, into the field of genetics. So genetic information become more advanced, and more kind of people started exploiting and playing with the genetic combinations. Okay, working directly with the genes. And then in the year of 1994, insect resistant variety of the cotton has come, that leads to the genetically modified organism introducing foreign genes into the DNA of the plant. Okay, it's like something more advanced biotechnology has come, where people started manipulating with the microbial DNA, with the insertion of the foreign DNA into the microbial DNA, and by hereby playing with the vectors. Okay, introducing into the plants, bringing desirable characters into the plant. Okay, and crop alteration, crop enhancement, which brought many beneficial role. Okay, then in the year of 2000, barley resistant to yellow dwarf virus, it has come. Okay, so targeted breeding was done using modern tools such as genome editing for more targeting breeding. So instead of manipulating, people started doing editing with the DNA and that genetic sequences, rather than studying it, people started editing it. So that more kind of advancement has been done here. Then marker assisted selection. What is this? Marker assisted selection is something that marks the location of your desired gene, where you were introduced and where my particular inserted genes has been located into the plants or the organism. So that is been like you can extract, and you can again take out with the help of biotechnology or different technique, and insert into the cloning vector, and again you can introduce into the desirable plant. So this was done. So wholesome, at the bottom, the conclusion was given that for around 10,000 years, farmers and breeders have been developing and improving crops. Right, around 150 years, plant scientists and breeders have improved plant breeding on scientific basis. This is what did. And then today, what is the scenario is that farmers feed at least 10 times more people using almost same amount of land as 100 years ago. So the fragmentation of the land become as the generation after generation has proceeded, but the productivity wasn't stopped. Why? Because of the green revolution, because of the advancement into the machinery of the uh, farming field. Okay, so more of the advancement, more of the science and technology has progressed into the agriculture field, that even today, even a fragments or 1 hectare of the land can give a more production. Per hectare production has been increased because of the science and advancement. Okay, by the year, this is a future prediction, 2050, we will need 50% more food to feed the rapid growing population, and this way we can bet that we can fulfill the demands of the increasing population. On what basis? It is on basis of many kind of strategies has been planned in past times, and even advancement in science also, and many of researches has been taken, so that will somewhere play a great importance role in the field of agriculture, productivity and to supply of the food. So we'll continue this lecture into the next coming video. Thank you so much.